Somebody asked me, what do you do for a living? And if you want to see that video, you can click this comment, click see video, and then click see comment, and then go see the video. And I explained how I get paid for content creation on a couple of different platforms. We have a trucking company, and how we have a signing company, a mobile notary business that specializes in like home closings and refinances. That my wife primarily does most of that. And I gave a little bit of a backstory as to how I came to retire from landscaping after 26 years back in 2018 because of my wife's accelerated salary at that point in time. Legitimate question being asked here. This person says, you mentioned wife's salary going up and up. Does she no longer have that salary, or is the notary thing that salary? No, she no longer has that salary, and the notary thing is part of what we're trying to do to replace that salary. So my wife worked for 20 years in the ag exporting business. Her job was to export bulk agricultural commodities, specifically to Southeast Asia, China, the Philippines, Vietnam, places of that nature. And she had worked for a place for about 10 years before she switched jobs and went to go work for another company, and that lasted for 1 year. And back in May, that company collapsed on itself and went under. 27 people, my wife included, lost their job, and so she lost that elevated salary. And listen, it was not easy to. It still is not easy to fathom losing that kind of revenue. I mean, and full disclosure, just so that she was making 175 with full health insurance and vacation bennies. That's a hard salary to lose. So what we are typically trying to do is we're trying to replace that salary through the various streams of revenue that we have. The notary thing being one of them. So it's title companies have home closings on either new purchases or refinances or reverse mortgages, and the closing paperwork needs to be handled at the customer's house in many instances, not in all instances. And usually the title companies don't want to take the time to go to the customer's house, so they will farm that out. So the title company will get between $300 and $500 for that service, for that portion of the closing, right? And they'll farm that out for $150 to $250 to somebody like my wife, who will go to the customer's house on behalf of the title company, sit at their kitchen table, spend about 45 minutes, maybe an hour going over that document, making sure they understand it all, stamping where it needs to be stamped, getting it wrapped up and sent back overnight via FedEx. That's part of the revenue that's replacing her salary. Part of it's trucking company, and part of it's the money I've been able to generate through content creation here and on other platforms. Now, before we're going to go ahead and we're going to head off the comments. That's Biden's economy for you. No, it's not. The bulk agricultural export industry is still going strong. That company failed because the gentleman who owned that company, oddly enough, a hardcore right-wing Trump supporter who denied COVID was a thing, ran it into the ground. And as we have come to found out after my wife went to go work for this gentleman, he left several companies in a bad spot over the course of his career until he finally bought this company, a 25-year company, and in 3 years ran it into the ground and cost everybody their jobs. And so they all lost their jobs because this liquefied bucket of rhinoceros shit has absolutely zero clue on how to lead people, how to run a company, how to empower people around him to do their jobs, how to not micromanage and step back and allow qualified people to just handle their positions, how to not cheat people in trades, how to not short people, leave people holding the bag. A lot of things that we learned, unfortunately, about that gentleman after she went to go work for him. So now the goal is for her to never have to go back to work for anybody ever again, and we self-sustain through the various streams of revenue that we've been able to develop. Right now, it's sort of working. We'll see if it continues. Who knows?